Hello everybody and welcome back, where today we're covering PSVR2 news. We're going over a couple of game stories that we've covered in the past, but ones that are particularly relevant today, and then a couple of new ones which are quite exciting, including a new game announcement, or a couple of games announcements, to be honest, in terms of the whole announcement going on. So we'll get into that, but before we do, only 25% of you are subscribed, so please feel free to do so, and thank you to our patrons and members, as they're all on screen right now, and I could not do this without them. With that being said, let's kick things off with the two most obvious stories of today. The next 3 days are going to be absolutely packed because firstly we have the launch of Ghosts of Tabor tomorrow. Now, Ghosts of Tabor is the extraction shooter for PSVR 2, Quest and Steam VR, and possibly Pico, I can't remember, which has full crossplay across all platforms and essentially puts you into an Escape from Tarkov style loop. You can go in alone or with friends, picking up loot, storing it in your base, and if you die with it out in the field, you lose it forever. You can complete quests and missions for different factions, go to the shop, get new upgrades, weapons, equipment, armor, with granular management systems like Into the Radius has, with unforgiving firefights and lethal weapons to use. I, for one, am very excited to get out there into Tabor for the first time in about 2 years, to be honest. I think the last time I covered this game was before PSVR 2 possibly even came out, back when it was an alpha. Way back then, every time you moved, the floor would shake like there was an earthquake going on. It was pretty funny, but now the game is in pretty good shape from what I hear. If I had to guess on a price, as we don't know one yet, I would say around £25. But of course, as with its flat screen comparative Tarkov, it has several additions you can buy, so if you want to spend a little bit more to get cosmetics or DLC, then you can. I'll try and get a video out tomorrow for you guys on Tabor. Honestly, it just depends on when the game launches. If it launches in the middle of the day, great, I can hop in whenever I want. And probably get a video out to you by maybe 5 PM or even normal upload time, we'll have to see. Just talking through the game, how I found it so far, and the quality of the port. But if it comes out much later, of course, it's going to take a little bit more time to get hands-on and a video out to you guys. Either way, I'm very excited, and that launches tomorrow. And next, for the last game we already know about, the Midnight Walk comes out on May 8th. Now, the main thing that I want to update you guys on is that I have now finished the game. I can't say anything about it until the embargo lifts, and I got this wrong the other day, so let me correct myself. The embargo lifts on launch day, not before launch day. Apologies for that mix-up, but essentially, yeah, finished the game, done with it, and I really want to talk about it, but I can't. But there's not too long to wait now, only a couple of days, and then I can say all that I want to say, and I'm excited to see what you guys think of the game. There will be a full playthrough on the channel as well. Essentially, I'm going away for a couple of days over to Norway this Friday, so while I'm away, there'll be a couple of videos planned, and most of that will be the playthrough of the Midnight Walk, so very excited to get that out into your hands and see what you think of it. But honestly, this game felt like it was tailor-made for me from all of the marketing, and going into the game, I was hoping that it would live up to the hype, and we'll just have to wait and see if it does. We got a new updated look at Undead Citadel, where they said that they've heard the PSVR2 community, and the Undead Citadel will run at native 90Hz on release. But one of the biggest points of contention over the last couple of weeks when we heard more about the game and the PSVR2 port was that it was running at reprojected 60 to 120Hz. Now, for a slower game, for example, the game we just talked about, the Midnight Walk, it's a slower game than the melee combat game that you're seeing on screen now. If that game runs at 60Hz, it doesn't really matter as much because you're moving a lot slower and you don't really notice it and you don't get motion sick. But for a melee combat game, you really do need that responsiveness and that fluidity. We've seen it with Swordsman, Legendary Tales, Barbaria, all these games that run unreprojected feel great because of that. And it's good to see Undead Citadel have now taken that on board, and they're going to be pushing this game out unreprojected. I don't know what compromises we're going to get in terms of visuals to push it towards that mark, but hopefully they haven't cut down on the resolution or anything like that too much in order to get this frame rate. But to be honest, I would probably take that trade-off anyway. We have no release date just yet for Undead Citadel. I hope they don't launch in May. I feel like they would be cannibalizing their own sales by launching this month. We've got Midnight Walk, we've got Ghosts of Tabor, we've got Zombie Army VR, we have Pirates VR. There's just a little too much releasing this month, I think, to properly give breathing room for a game like this. So hopefully it's next month. And finally, in an announcement that I didn't expect, Zero Caliber 1 and 2 are on the way to PSVR 2. This is by Xreal Games, and I played Zero Caliber on PC on the channel before, and Xreal essentially make this solo or co-op full campaign with loads of missions and a couple of modes in Zero Caliber 1 at least, where you can play through and fight through military battles in a semi-futuristic world with tons of weapons and set pieces that honestly feels a bit like a Call of Duty campaign. The closest thing I could compare this to on PSVR2 is probably Crossfire Sierra Squad, but even then, they do feel a fair bit different in terms of how the AI react and how much freedom you get, because you have a lot more freedom to walk around in the Zero Caliber levels than you do in the Crossfire levels. And they've also announced that a new Zero Caliber spin-off is in the works, so they seem to be all aboard Zero Caliber at the studio, and I see why. It's rated very highly, people like it, and it sells pretty well, and I feel like a shooter like this will sell well on PSVR2 as well. That was a lot of wells. Anyway, I haven't played Zero Caliber 2, but from what I hear, it's just the same as the first, but better in pretty much every single way, so I'm looking forward to getting hands-on with that when the ports eventually come. I don't know what release schedule I prefer for these two, whether they push out Zero Caliber 1 first and then 2, maybe a month or so later to give some breathing room, whether they bundle them together. That might be a good idea to give a load of content to the PSVR2 players in one go, but either way, I'll be supporting them because I did have a really good time with the first game. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Are you looking forward to the Midnight Walk, Ghost of Tabor, Zero Caliber? Please do let me know, and I hope to see you all in the next one.